Well, flat for the markets. The mid-cap index is down around 0.2%. Just want to point out ITC, which is gaining. Remember, it fell post numbers yesterday, so it's seeing some amount of traction on the upside today, up around 1% currently for ITC. But let's focus on the commodity and the currency space. We have Manisha joining in. She's been watching this whole Venezuela situation unfold quite closely and the impact on the oil market, if any. So Manisha's here with us to apprise us of the latest developments across the space. Manisha.
Thank you so much for that, Ekta. Well, yes, the Venezuela situation really seems to be ratcheting up right now, with the US saying that they are looking to put sanctions on Venezuela oil exports. And that is the reason that you did see that buying come back in case of the crude oil prices. Otherwise, it really is about the increase in inventories. Also, European Union talking about circumventing the US sanctions on Iran and talking about non-dollar trades with Iran and other Middle East oil producers. That is something that really did put some pressure onto the prices. So we are looking at contradicting fundamentals, and the crude oil prices in the meanwhile really consolidating. It is a metal space which also has seen some gains continue. The weakness in US dollar, well, that one is off its 3-week highs, has been supportive. But when you look at the whole of metal space, we are trading at a multi-month highs for many of them. Take a look at the copper prices. It's a 3-week highs. Aluminum is trading at a 1-month highs, as there are reports from China about deep or sharp cuts in case of their smelting capacity. Also, the nickel prices have been gaining. Zinc has been another one trading at a 7-week highs as we look at the global inventories that have continued to decline. And then markets, of course, are watching out for a second round of US and China talks. And that is what would give you further direction in prices. David Lennox now joins us to talk more about that space. David, hi, good to have you. How have you read the metals gains that we have seen in last few sessions now, even as the US and China talks are a bit of an uncertainty, the China stimulus measures, and of course the warrants, the decline in inventories for many of these metals clearly has been supportive?
Oh yeah, look, there's no doubt about it. In the early part of 2019, the winds have been tailwinds for the commodity prices, especially the key one, which is the direction of the US dollar. Right throughout most of 2018, investors were viewing the US dollar as always rising, and hence we had that problem with commodity prices generally across the year falling. In 2019, investors haven't got that same view of the US dollar, and in fact it's actually weakened or over the last couple of trading periods flattened out, and that's given the tailwinds to the commodity prices that we hadn't seen last year. And Manisha, as you suggested also, we've got the Chinese authorities actually now suggesting that they will stimulate the economy, given that we saw a slight fall in GDP growth for the December quarter year on year to 6.4. So with that tailwind expected to come through in 2019, it's been a much better start for commodities in 2019.
So, David, last year we saw most of the LME metal prices decline between 5 to 25% on the higher side. The consensus really seems to be that metal prices in this year, while of course will not see a strong rally, but a 5 to 10% of gains is what we can expect in this year. Are you of the same view? And if yes, where do you see or what metals do you see having the strongest of fundamentals?
Look, yes, we're of the same view. We expect to see better commodity prices just primarily on the back of what we think will be a weaker US dollar through the course of 2019. So that's going to deliver quite a good tailwind. We're not suggesting that commodity prices will be shooting the roofs out or the lights out, primarily because if you have a look, we've seen a number of downgrades now across global growth from the IMF and other capital organisations, and that would suggest to us that yes, the impact of the trade doubts is having an effect on global growth, and that unfortunately is seeing that those forecasts shrink. So that's going to keep investors somewhat, in a more pensive mood when it comes to commodities and certainly any rallies. So yes, we do expect to see those prices rising. In terms of where, and I think you've already suggested a couple of them, we've seen nickel LME numbers falling over 2019 or the first few weeks of 2019, also zinc and lead. So they're the three that we're going to be following in 2019. Copper, We've never been quite a fan of copper, and certainly in the first part of this year, we've seen inventories rise, and the same also for aluminium. So we're going to be watching zinc, nickel and lead over the course of this year.
All right, so zinc, nickel and lead are your gainers in that space.
Okay, all right, Manisha. Thanks very much for that. Just want to point out that even Bharti Airtel is now seeing a knock. So that stock is down around 1.8%. Just watch out for Bharti Infratel. Like we pointed out, it's down 4% today. So that conference call will become extremely critical to track this afternoon for that particular stock.